Hi, welcome to our math. Today I'm doing a series of videos on solving equations, specifically equations with fractions and decimals. Okay, so if I'm going to solve for A, I can manipulate the fractions. But because this is an equation, I can also clear my fraction. To clear a fraction, I need to do a few things. First of all, I need to count my terms. The reason I'm counting my terms is I'm going to short circuit the process a little bit to make it faster, writing a little bit less. There are three terms. Terms are groups of multiplication and division separated by addition and subtraction. So 3/4 A is a term, -5/2 is a term, and 8 is a term. My least common denominator, the number I can multiply to clear all of my fractions, is 4. So what I want to do is I want to multiply each of my terms by 4/1, not 4/4, 4/1, and times 4/1. This is what's going to happen. And I do have videos on multiplying fractions, which you can go and watch if you have more questions. This is 12/4, but I would rather reduce 4 first. 4 goes into 4 once. 1 times 3 is 3, and I'm left with a 3A. 2 goes into 4 twice. 2 times 5 is 10, minus 10, and 8 times 4 is 32. Now I have an equation with no fractions. This is a much nicer looking an equation to solve. To get A alone, I add 10 to both sides, so that 3A is equal to 42, and then I divide by 3 because the inverse of multiplication is division, so that A is equal to 14. And I have my final answer. Okay, so when I'm solving an equation with fractions, I like to clear the fraction. When I'm solving an equation with decimals, I could go straight through and solve this right away. I could also clear my decimals. So that's what I'm going to do, just to show you the parallel process. Clearing decimals is not something I always do. Clearing fractions is something I almost always do. To clear a decimal, let's see, I would need to multiply by 100 to clear this. So I'm going to actually multiply both sides by 100. 100 times 0.05b is 5b. 100 times 0.7 is 70. 100 times 1.2b, we're moving the decimal over twice, is 120b. And 100 times 1.5 is 150. You might be thinking that's not any easier. Look at how big those numbers are. But it's much easier to line things up this way. Okay, what am I going to do? I am going to subtract 5b from both sides. So I'm going to have -70 equals 115b plus 150. I'm going to subtract 150 from both sides. There's both negative, so I add these together. I'm going to get -220 equals 115b, making sure everything is balanced. And then because this is multiplication, I'm going to divide both sides by 115. This is not pretty. There is nothing pretty about this answer. My answer is going to be a -1.913. It goes on. I'm rounding to 3 decimal places. I would normally leave this as a reduced fraction, but if your problem starts with decimals, you would end with decimals. In every other situation, leave your answer as a reduced fraction. The only time it's okay to have a decimal as an answer is if you're told to leave it as a decimal, if it started out as a decimal, or if it's a story problem. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my Facebook page, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.